Musicians, this is the situation that you don't want to wind up in. A little while ago, I met a client who's, let's just say, he's in his golden years. We had a good little conversation over dinner. He's obviously come to a stage in his life where he's going a little bit slower. He's looking for social connection, not getting around to as many things as he used to. Still active, but clearly a little bit lonely as well. We were talking about how to monetize his work, and his body of work is substantial. He's obviously put his blood, sweat, and tears into it, and he's had many, many, many decades to get to the point that he is. That part is fantastic. The challenge is, he asked me how we were going to monetize his work. This is where I got to talking about his email list. It's not something that he spent a whole lot of time, in fact, really any time, building through the years. Now, they do say life is short, and I don't know if it's short or long or just how we experience things. It feels long at times, it feels short at other times. It just kind of depends at what crossroads you're at this particular point in life. But he did not have a list. He did not have traffic. He did not have a following or an audience, or really much of an audience. It's not like the zero audience, but he even mentioned that he would post things to YouTube and just kind of not see the kind of traction that he liked. Now, none of this is uncommon, yet it is perfectly preventable. There's something you can do about it today, tomorrow, the day after. You got the same 24 hours a day everyone else does. You got the same 28 to 30 days a month that everyone else has. You got the same 365 days a year that everyone else has to do something about this. I wrote about this in The Renegade Musician because it's a rare quality. It's a rare thing. People don't do this. You gotta think about this, and it sucks, but you got to think about this somewhat dispassionately, not completely, but somewhat. Now, my musician client who'd spent all these years making great music, of course, we all know that great craft is generally born in isolation. We have to spend a lot of time. But with all the performances he's done, with all the people he's worked with, everything that he's gone through in creating albums and other pieces of work, there were surely handshakes. There were surely people met along the way. Some people even cover his work who are much younger than him. But yet we come to this strange crossroads of he does not have an audience. So what is your answer, musician? Have you developed yourself as a digital marketer or marketer? Because you sure ought to. Now, you need to build your list right away. I frankly don't care if it's an email list or a phone list or a text list or a WhatsApp list. But you need to get concrete information in your hands, not information that can be taken away. Because most people's thinking about this is, oh, well, if I'm ever lonely or if I ever need connections or I need people to speak highly about me, then I will just turn to Facebook. And this is just awful thinking, because the reality is, you're 20, 30, 40, 50 now. In 20, 30, 40, 50 years, you're going to be in your golden years. Am I right? And so when you reach that point, do you really believe that Facebook is still going to be here? Or if it is it going to be exactly the same as it is now? And when you get there, will you have the same kind of access to the people that you have right now? Yeah, generally people's life, and it's not, it's not automatic, but generally people's lives do shrink through the years. And part of this, not all of it, but part of it is usually due to people's laziness and neglect. Because what so often happens is people start family in their 20s, 30s, and 40s, and then a good 10, 15, 20 years go by before they look up to see who's still around. And Many of the people who used to be in their life, this is normal, but many people who used to be in their life are no longer around because either they've moved or their friends moved. They've made friends with the people at work because it's, kind of a situationship. Let's just face it, situational friendship in this case, not situational relationship. So many people are kind of just going through life by default with whoever is around them. Again, perfectly normal. Yet there's so many great features built in to Facebook nowadays. It literally tells you when someone's having a birthday, and it even prepares a preset set of messages for you that you can just tap and send out to your friends. I know time is difficult, energy is difficult. Believe you me, I've been there, I know. And still, how long would that take you to do? 5 seconds, 10 seconds in the morning to log into, you're staring at your phone anyway, aren't you? It would take you 5 seconds, 10 seconds to log into Facebook, tap a few buttons, and send out birthday notifications just to keep things fresh with the people you've met along the way. People have, let's say, a pretty mistaken or false system for valuing the people in their lives. I understand there's people you like, there's people you don't like, there's people you get along with, people you don't get along with. However, I think most people are just kind of communing around similarities rather than having a broad portfolio and a broad Rolodex of people from different industries, different niches, different interests, and different ways of thinking that they can pull from and rely on when they need it. Now, I saw an Instagram post a while ago. I don't know if I totally agree with it, but it said something about every man should know a policeman, a fireman, a politician, and the list went on. I guess it's similar to my point. It's not like you have to know someone in every one of those capacities because at the end of the day, a lot of the government services are just useless. A lot of the government agencies are just useless when it comes to the common person. But the general sentiment rings true that you need to know people and you should know people in a variety of categories if you're the kind of person that attaches any value to who you are and yourself. The other piece that we have to, and it sucks, we have to be a little bit dispassionate about is the fact that people will pass on. It's sad. It sucks when it happens. But there were 3 people last year in my life that passed on. One was a grandfather, right? One was a friend who was pretty close. Not someone I've seen in many years because he lives in Japan and I grew up in Japan, but I haven't been back to see my friends in a little while. And another friend who wasn't that close. Even then, there's still mourning. There's still, emotions that one goes through when people pass away in their lives. The dispassionate part about this is that you gotta keep refreshing your list. Again, not easy to do. Like, take the appropriate amount of time to grieve and go through the things, mourn as you required, as you need to. But when you're ready, begin refreshing your list. And that includes making new friendships, includes making new connections. Not just relying, not just hoping that the relationships you developed yesterday or 10 years ago or 20 years ago or 30 years ago are still going to be there when you look up from whatever it is you are hell-bent on creating right now, or determined to create in your career or your life or whatever the case is. Don't wait for that moment. You need to have a database or a list, something tangible, preferably, that you either review or update or continually add new names to, whatever the case is. You should have something. And I want you to know that this is not something I do perfectly either. It's not. But through the years, I do my best. I wish my friends happy birthday. Some people, in fact, I try to call as many people as I can on their birthday because it can be a little bit impersonal to just text. I'm still wary of, or I'm careful about who I spend time with because I understand well the impact of association. It's just me. Maybe I'm weird. As much as possible, I like to be around people who are accomplishing the things that I want in life, or have accomplished the things I want in life, or people who are well on their way. Those are the categories of people that, as much as possible, I want to hang around and be friends with. But that doesn't mean that the people outside of those circles don't matter. That's not what I'm saying. But there is a dispassionate aspect to this, to the extent that you have to refresh your list. You have to go shake hands and make new friends. And you got to make new connections, at least semi-frequently, or else that list just gets smaller over the years for very practical and logical reasons that are unfortunately frequently pretty sad reasons. So don't end up in this situation, because this musician does not have a list, does not have a very big audience, and really doesn't have many prospects or pathways towards monetization. And how much money can we realistically expect to make unless we're pretty clear on what this irresistible offer is? And I don't think we're very clear on that right now. And how much money am I ultimately going to have to invest? And it's not going to be my money, let's just put it like that. But how much money is going to have to be invested into marketing to get to the point where this counts for anything? I don't have options. He has no social media presence aside from YouTube. He doesn't have an email list. He doesn't have a list, not a customer list or anything. Something that should have been collected at every single gig he ever played, and he still plays gigs frequently. So this is what I'm left with, is advertising and playlist promotion. and other than that, what have I got? Black hat tactics, gray hat tactics. I can rely on advertising to produce traffic. Whether anything or anyone converts out of that depends on how attractive the offer is. And at this point, there isn't an offer that's irresistible enough. There's something there in terms of music. There's something there in terms of talent and experience and all that kind of stuff. But now I've got to be the one to think about how that's all going to be packaged up in a way that people will want to consume it. And that's the real challenge of a marketer sometimes. And sometimes there just isn't something there. I think in his case, there's something there, but I don't have ideas yet as to how to bundle it all up and make it attractive for him. This is the thing. Like, I hope most people have figured out in the earlier part of their career why people will listen to them, why it matters, why there should be an audience. If you can't figure that out sooner rather than later, you end up in this situation where you want to monetize, you want people to listen, you want an audience that cares, but none exists. So then your only recourse is to start pouring money into some kind of advertising to get people to notice your stuff. So what I'm saying is, this is preventable. You can do something about it today. Especially if you're still 40, 50, 60, there's time. You can start collecting emails. You can start collecting phone numbers. You can start collecting addresses. And yeah, the information does expire. It does go out of date. You will have to refresh it. People will unfortunately go away, and we just never know when our time's up. But at least have something. Have a black book. Have a spreadsheet. Have something. Have a Rolodex. Have something. A central space where you collect all your contacts and your contact information and build the relationship with them, and remember to keep refreshing it. That's the only way to get out of this. That's the only way to not come away with so few options, right? I can't expect my client to build a social media following at this point. That's not the angle. We can maybe invest in PR. There might be something there as I'm thinking about it, but we can't. There's no time left to build a following. There's no time left to build a list or an audience. Like, it's not like we've given up. There are sign-up forms on his website. There's an opt-in form on his website. in the hope that the small amount of traffic he gets does convert, and then over time we'll have something of a list that we can leverage. So it's not like we're not doing anything in that sense. But realistically, that's not going to give him the boost that he needs. That's not going to give him the explosion of audience he needs to convert sales, right? So this is preventable. You can do something about it, and you can start doing something about it and be consistent about it. You don't have to be perfect to make it happen. Unlock the secrets to skyrocketing your productivity, boosting performance, and maximizing profits with my latest premium guide, the Productivity, Performance, and Profits Black Book. Tailored for independent artists and entrepreneurs, this comprehensive resource is your roadmap to turning ideas into reality. Say goodbye to abandoned projects collecting dust on your shelves or buried in your hard drives. It's time to bring your vision to life. Grab your free copy of the Productivity, Performance, and Profits Black Book now at davidandrewweeb.com/blackbook. That's WIEBE. Don't miss out on the key to unlocking your success.